Good.
All right, then let's begin. And Lochi will be helping to admit anyone else who comes in. So welcome to all our participants in today's webinar, organized by ACSM, or the Association of Coaching Supervisors and Mentors. Claire Pedrick, our guest speaker for today, will present on Evoking Awareness, how to enable people to have new insights. A very well-established speaker, Claire Pedrick is an expert on facilitating other people's thinking. She will demonstrate to us how we can more effectively help our clients to transform. Claire is a business owner, a mother, a friend, a volunteer, an MCC master coach with over 11,000 hours experience. She's the author of Simplifying Coaching, and she just shared with us that her book was listed as number 6 on Amazon in the UK yesterday. Congrats, Claire. She believes each facet of her, as of any individual, will impact how we start a conversation. She believes with some definitions, you might assign her power, which she does not deserve. So she'll be sharing all this with us. Claire established 3D coaching in the 1990s to bring together the simplest and best learning from coaching to support people in organizations to have more effective conversations with an edge. Coaching for more than 30 years, she believes that the essence of coaching is simple and that it takes time to learn to work that simply. Her training has been as a coach, as a systemic practitioner, and a coaching supervisor. While the rest of the 3D team are delivering high quality coaching, Claire's current focus is developing internal and external coaches through training, master classes, and mentoring. Her learning lab is the coaches she listens to 3 days a week. So we are all going to be her learning lab today.
You are.
Based on those, based on those observations and noticing when transformation does or does not happen, her current learning journey is about understanding and sharing what makes for true partnership in coaching. When she's not working, she loves walking in the rolling hills of the UK. Allow me now to welcome Claire Pedrick on behalf of ACSM to share her nuggets of wisdom with all of us today. Over to you, Claire.
Thank you, Kieran. Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. And thank you for the invitation. It's great to be with you as you finish work for the day. And I'm just beginning. So I would like this session to be a conversation. And in our conversation, ask questions at any time in the chat. And do share your insights at any time in the chat. Because that's how we will do our best learning, I think. Probably I'll demonstrate some stuff, and definitely you will be going into breakouts and practicing some of the things that we are exploring together. So evoking awareness is really important, I think, for coaches and for supervisors, because my definition of coaching is that it's a conversation where somebody feels heard and where they get new insights into their own stuff. And actually, supervision is also a conversation where somebody feels heard and where they get new insights. So here's the challenge. I don't know what insights you already have. I've no idea. So what a mystery. How do we evoke insights in people so that they get new thinking without asking them what they know already? And asking them what they know already is dangerous because it takes us backwards in the conversation. And the purpose of coaching is future focused. So in coaching, we want to have the stance, the position in the conversation that together with the person that we're working with, we are looking forwards. So how do we evoke awareness? I'm really interested that the ICF used to describe this competency as creating awareness, which sounds like I create awareness for you. And I think that many of us feel under pressure to create awareness. I really want you to get new insights. So what can I do to give them to you? But here's the challenge. I cannot make meaning for you. You can only make meaning for yourself. If awareness is awareness, people need to find it for themselves. So our question in coaching is, what's the least that I need to do for you to have insights? And how do I make sure that you notice what's happening, that you notice that you're having insights? So I am often asked to speak to groups like you around how to do transformational coaching. So I would say transformation is where somebody really gets an insight that will change things forever. And one of the things about transformation is it's a form of awareness that you can't undo. So the best example, I think, of transformation is making a cake. So to make a cake, you take, well, I don't know how you make cakes in the culture and the countries that you're in, but in England, if you make a cake, you take the things that are going to go in the cake, the eggs, the flour, the sugar, the fat, you mix them together, you put them in a tin, you put it in the oven, and it comes out and it's a cake. But the thing that's really interesting about cakes is you cannot unmake a cake. You can never make the cake back into what it was before, because it is a new thing. I know if you don't eat it, it will go bad, but let's leave that. But or maybe let's not leave it actually. But if you make a cake, that is transformation. So what we want in coaching conversations is to evoke awareness in others that are like making a cake that you can't unmake. And I think the challenge in coaching is that transformation happens more than we think. But we're so ready with our next good question that we don't notice it. And we walk over it. And we talk too much. And we ask questions that are too long. So step one in evoking awareness, I would say, is noticing when it happens. And that means we need to be watching the whole time. And we need to be ready to stop talking at any moment. So I'm watching May Tuck because she just had an insight, didn't you? Did you just understand something in a different way? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, yes, somewhat. It is seeing something in a new way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as I was watching you listening to me, May Tuck is just where I can see very easily. She's in the box that I can see most quickly. And she went. So if I'm coaching May Tuck, what I know is she has just had an insight and I need to stop talking, which is why I went quiet. And actually, I don't speak again until she looks at me and is ready. But if we're going to evoke awareness, I also need to understand that she has moved forward and I don't know where she's gone. I don't know what she's done with the awareness that she's got. So coaching is about traveling together with someone, isn't it? We travel together as a partner in their thinking, and then something happens and they jump forwards. Now, the danger is if I say to Maytuck, or indeed anyone I'm coaching, what happened, they will report back and tell me everything that happened since I lit the fuse, since I ignited the thought, and where we are now. So she was jumping forwards, and I have just caused her to go backwards so she can tell me what happened. Does that make sense? Yeah? So one of the skills of evoking awareness is to watch and see when it happens. The next one is to wait until it's gone in. And the next one is to ask a future focused question, which is, where are we? Because where are we keeps me to catch up with Maytuck rather than getting Maytuck to come back to where I am. So that's how you see it. And that means that we will start asking questions that are much less beautiful and are much more effective. Because you will start stopping halfway through a question. Who watched the Olympics? Anybody? The Olympics, yeah? In the Olympics, in athletics, they have a relay. You know, in a relay race, you run with a stick and you pass on the stick to the next runner. That's what we need to be doing in coaching. We need to be keeping on moving forward and passing the stick to the next, back to the person as we move forward in a forward direction. So watch for transformation. When you see it, stop and wait for it to do its good work. And then check in and then move from where you are now rather than going backwards. And all of those are things that enable the person to have more awareness. But when we use too many words and when we don't look enough, we miss it happening, or indeed we stop it happening, even though what we are doing is technically excellent coaching. So I can read a transcript of a coaching session and I can look at it and say, this is an excellent coaching session. And then I listen to the recording and it isn't. Because the coach interrupted the thinker's thinking. So another stance in coaching is to really think about what is the least that I need to do so that this person gets new insights. So I did a demonstration yesterday of coaching to a group that I'm training at the moment. And I probably asked, in 20 minutes, I asked 3 questions. And in the feedback, one of them said, the best question you said was, ah? And that's because he said something and then he went, ah. So I just wanted to make enough noise for him to recognize this moment and for him not to wait for me while I asked a question. So it was like me going, a little notice, insight, which would have been strange. because we had never met before. But enabling them to notice the insight is going to make a really significant difference. And the other thing that makes the biggest difference in coaching around evoking awareness is to check in a lot. And I think we don't check in enough. And coaching is a partnership. And if it is a partnership and we are working together, the two of us, then I can't try and read your mind to see whether this is a useful conversation for you. I have to ask you often. So I'm going to check in. So what insights have you had so far this afternoon? What do you know now that you didn't know when we started this conversation? Let's hear from 2 or 3 people. Who's going to speak? Put your hands up, and then you should miraculous. Can you put your, Vincent, you can put your reaction hand up, then I can see you on my screen. Vincent, you go first.
Yeah, observe in the moment and stop talking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because timing is one of the things that sets master coaches apart from other coaches. And it's almost always that the master coach waits for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Because to be quite honest, lovely people, great coaching isn't about what I do as the coach. It's about the impact it has in the person that I'm working with. And as long as they are thinking and getting new insights, then I'm doing a good job, even if I'm not speaking. We are not paid on the number of words we say. We are hired in order for somebody to do good thinking. Roy-san, what's your insight?
So I would say that, you know, what you said earlier about the 3 skills, you know, watch what's happening and wait till it's gone in, and then ask future forward questions. So I think for me, the insight was number 2, you know, it's like I realized when I reflect on my coaching is that I'm watching what's happening, but I'm kind of missing that second part, that pause. Sometimes I kind of lose it in the moment. It's like I see something's happening, and I can't wait to go in there with a question. And I allow a little pause, you know, like a 5-second pause, but not enough. And I realize in some of my better coaching, I've actually just shut up, and when there is a space, I can be sure that the client will start talking again. And that's when I realized that, okay, so something's happened for her, and she's, you know, I guess it's what you said, you know, it's gone in, and then she's speaking more about it. And especially when they say, what I've realized is, or what else did my client say? What's come up for me is, so, you know, is that what you meant when you said, is that what number 2 means? Wait till it's gone in. So
yeah, just let it go in. And I think the thing that is a bit annoying is that there is no value in any of the questions that you come up with while they're being silent. So in the silence, they've moved forward. The questions that you're thinking about while they're being silent are about here. And when they come out of the silence, they're going to be here. So sadly, the beautiful questions that you come up with all need to go in the trash. And you will not know what you need to ask or where you need to go when they come out of the silence until you ask them. And then you work out what to do next together. And that's what partnership is. So if the only thing you take from this webinar is noticing when they leap and checking in with them when they have finished thinking, that will change your coaching. It will deepen it. Thank you. Mel, you had your hand up ages ago.
You want me to remember what I wanted, huh? So what stood out for me, Claire, is, well, first of all, thank you for this evening. And I was really attracted to the definition of transformation. And something, you know, that a form of awareness that you can't undo. It's just, I'll use your words. What I noticed for myself, however, is that I've gotten to a place where I know I'm talking too much. And, you know, I can, intellectually, I can justify what I'm doing, and, you know, I can see the client, us walking along a path together. But when I look at it as a coach, I'm talking too much. So the statement that resonated most for me was, what's the least I can do for you to have insight?
And they won't have insight when we're talking because they're listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're listening to us, they're following us. And when they're following us, we're not working in partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So it really matters. So another thing that we can think about doing is I don't break the silence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the amazing things about working on Zoom is that you don't know who I am looking in the eye. I am staring in the eyes of one of you. And whoever you are, you don't know who you are. And you don't know that I'm absolutely watching you to see when you get an insight. And that is also true in our one-to-one coaching sessions on Zoom. So doing video coaching on Zoom is a great place to learn this. And it's an easier learning lab than face-to-face. Because sometimes if you're looking somebody in the eye face-to-face, it feels like this. And that can be a bit full on. And we have the beautiful opportunity of really noticing somebody processing what we're saying without them feeling at all that we are staring them out. And that is a great way to learn about timing. So have you noticed what I've done? I've checked in with you, and that enables us to move forward into a new place in this conversation. And the reason that I don't have a slide set is that I have absolutely no idea what we're going to do this evening. I have some thoughts, but they are not so solid that we have to do it. Because what I want from this session is that by the end of the session, you will understand one small thing in a new way that will make a difference to your coaching. And in coaching, what I want from the people I coach is that you will understand at the end of the session one small thing that will make a difference. And sometimes we struggle in coaching because the work we are doing in the room is too big. Your client comes to talk to you and you say, what are you bringing to coaching? And they say, I want world peace. And you go, oh dear, we only have an hour. And you go, tell me what you're thinking about world peace. So they tell you what they're thinking about world peace. And what they're doing is they are reporting back to you things they have thought about before. So at the end of the conversation, as they report back to you things they have thought about before, they are giving you information about what they already know. And it's interesting. So you go, say more. Say more about that. Okay. At the end of that conversation, who had the insights? You did. You know things about them you didn't know before. They don't know anything they didn't know before. Now, I know that isn't actually what happens in coaching, because they may have had some insights, but it is not for us to get the insights. It is not for us to do the work. It is for us to facilitate them to do the work. And that's why, Mel, it's the least that we need to do. But many of the coaching books give you another technique and another tool and another thing that you can add. And you're sitting there listening to them and you're going, which one of these amazing things I know shall I use now? You are listening to your knowledge library. You are not then listening to the person who's with you, because the best questions come from them and not from us. I'm not saying don't read any of those books, and I'm not saying there isn't value in some of those things, but the first resource in the room to evoke awareness is the person who is sitting with you. They are your number one resource. I'm going to share with you a quote from David Rock and Jeffrey Schwartz. I'm going to pop it in the chat. So, because this is complicated. And yesterday, when I shared this yesterday, somebody thought it was mine. And I really need you to know this is not mine, because there's an ethical thing there for me. So there's a book by Price and Toy called Accelerating Performance. And in that book, they quote David Rock, the Australian coach, and Jeffrey Schwartz. And David Rock says this: for insights to be useful, they need to be generated from within, not given to individuals as conclusions. So that's the thing about us being really clear that we can't give insight to someone else. They need to find their own. But what's really interesting is that Price and Toy, when they use this quote from David Rock, then say, like an egg, if it's broken from the outside by others, life doesn't survive. But if it's broken from within, life starts. So if we go back to the cake, the best thing about a cake is not the cooking of it, it's the eating of it. And the best bit of coaching isn't when the thinker, the person you're coaching, goes, that was such an amazing session. That is not where the value is measured. The value is measured when the transformation sticks in an hour and a day and a week and a month, and when they get more insights after the conversation than they even had when they were talking to you. So that's interesting, isn't it? So we really want to hold on to what's the least that I need to do in order for this person to have new insights. So the other challenge in coaching and in supervision, I think, is that people bring self-reported data. So anyone who comes to coaching with you is going to tell you about their world. And what they're going to do is they're going to tell you about their view of their world. Is that right? So you can't see what they're doing. You hear them telling you about their stuff. So that is they are reporting what they think or see or feel or believe to you. So that is what I would call self-reported data. And the challenge in supervision is that the coach reports data to the supervisor that connects to the data that the thinker reported to the coach. So the coach uses their own information and they tell the thinker uses their own information and they tell the coach what they think or feel or believe or see or whatever. And then if the supervisor takes that reported data to the supervisor, that is also self-reported. So using what we see rather than what is reported can add value to the conversation. So, for example, in supervision, I encourage people sometimes to bring a recording of the session of the coaching that they did so we can look at it together and we can see what happened rather than them telling me what happened, because that enables them to have new insights and awareness when we are watching from a different place. In coaching, one of the challenges I think about coaching is that it is two people talking to each other. Right? So is consulting, counselling, advising, going to the doctor. That is also two people talking to each other. And in almost all conversations that are not coaching, there is an expectation that the person who is seen to have more power will do something with the information that they are given. So if I go to the doctor and I say, I have spots on my arm, I am telling the doctor I have spots on my arm because I want the doctor to tell me what's wrong with me and come up with a solution. When people go to a consultant, they say, this is our problem, and they expect the consultant to come up with a solution. In coaching, we don't need their data because the thing is for them to come up with the solution, and our job is to facilitate that. But the challenge is that coaching looks like all these other things. And not everybody we coach knows what coaching is, and they put pressure on us to come up with a solution. So I would say that those other disciplines are like a talking to position. So if I go to the doctor, I talk to the doctor. If I go to the therapist, I talk to the therapist. And it's like we're sitting together. If it's face-to-face, probably like that. If it's online, it will be like this. But in coaching, we are there to be with someone while they look at it differently. So a coaching stance is like being next to them and we both look at the thing together. Because the challenge is the more information they give us, the more information they will give us, and the more information they think they should give us. And then there's a pressure that we do something with that. And it gets confusing. So I want to introduce you to a different way of evoking awareness. And that is moving the focus of the conversation so that we are looking at something together. So I want to demonstrate this, and then I'm going to invite you to go into small groups. And in your small groups, you are going to try this out. I hope that's okay with everybody. So I need a volunteer, and the volunteer is not going to disclose anything about the thing they are thinking about to me. But I want you to volunteer if you have a complex situation that involves 3 or 4 people or organizations. So a situation when you're not sure what to do next, that involves a small number of people, teams, or organizations. Can you pop your hand up in the reactions if that's you? And remember, I'm not going to ask you to tell me anything about it. Anybody? Vincent. Oh, and Rahizen. Let's go with Vincent. So come off mute, Vincent. Although I don't know why, because I'm not going to ask you to speak. So, are you at a desk?
Sorry?
Are you at your desk?
Yes.
Do you have things around you? Phone, glasses, pen?
Yes. Pen, paper, phone.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I invite you just to use what you need to use? And
Okay.
everyone else, you're watching what I'm doing, and then I'm going to explain it afterwards. Okay. So we're in the business here of me having a short conversation with Vincent with the intention that he gets new insights into his question. So Vincent, in your head, you don't need to say it out loud. In your head, think about what your question is about this situation that you wanted to think about. Okay. Can I invite you to take some things from around you, so your phone or your water or whatever, and just map out in front of you on the table the question and how that relates to different people. So it might be that you have something that represents you, something that represents 1 or 2 of the people, just some stuff around in front of you. If you just map out the question on the desk in front of you right now.
Yep, I'm ready.
As you look at that, what do you notice?
An obstacle.
An obstacle.
Yeah.
So as you look at you and the situation and the obstacle, what do you need to do with where you are in order to be able to navigate that?
Think of a solution to get around it.
To get around it.
Yeah.
Can I invite you to touch the one that represents you, and then to move it into different places and see what that insight that gives you? Look at it and move it. So move yourself.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting.
Do you know something now that you didn't know before? We've now lost Vincent for the rest of the hour.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah.
Is that useful?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah. All of a sudden, you asked me the question.
So notice what's just happened. Vincent has had an insight. Because what I invited him to do was to look at it from a different place. Now, we know that asking questions from a different place is useful, but we use words. Einstein said, you can't solve a problem in the frame in which it was created. And in coaching, we use words to manage things that were often created by talking. And when somebody starts looking at things from a different place, they often, not always, so that was a risk, they often get an insight. Now, that was very time efficient, because if Vincent had told me about that, he would have described a whole load of things, and then I would have tried to ask him a very good question, but I would have got tangled up in his stuff. And the risk would be that if there was anything interesting in what he mapped out, I might have asked extra questions because I was a little bit interested. I'm not saying do this in every conversation with every person, but what I'm trying to do in this webinar is to introduce you to some different ways of doing this work, because sometimes this is useful. So getting somebody to draw it or to map it out with stuff enables them to stand back and look from a different place. And when they look from a different place, that often triggers awareness. But can I tell you the other thing? I am not tangled up in Vincent's stuff at all. Isn't it interesting that often in coaching, the person who comes for coaching says, this is worrying me at night. And we say, tell me more about what's worrying you at night. And then tonight, I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't sleep because now it's worrying me. Vincent's stuff will not keep me awake tonight, because I don't know what it is. What a marvelous thing that is. So let's check in. What insights have you had? Pop them in the chat, or some of you put your hand up and tell us what they are. And also, what questions do you have? And then I'm going to pop you in breakout rooms and you're going to try that out.
Thanks, Claire. I would like to verbalize it. Wow, this is amazing. Seriously, this is a really amazing demonstration. You just did a real life demonstration. Oh, this is really a new insight for me, using this kinesthetic skill to connect to the client, to draw insight from on their own, right? Without even knowing the details. You don't add what else, tell me more about it. You don't need to go into that details. Wow, this is amazing. Wow.
And if you'd got stuck, thank you, Vincent, and thank you for volunteering and totally keeping your stuff entirely confidential. So Vincent looked at it and he went, oh, so did you notice I was watching his face the whole time? Because I got the timing of what I said from watching him. If he had said, well, I don't see it differently at all, I could have then said, I wonder if you want to stand up and move and look at it from somewhere else, because that often also unlocks it. So they do the picture this way up and you invite them to move somewhere else. Now, when lockdown happened, I was very confident at using that way of working in the room with people physically. And I wasn't confident it would necessarily translate into online working. Because in the room, Vincent, I could have seen your map And I might have said, that one is very big. This one is very small. Everything in your map is red and that one is yellow. So I would have just noticed some stuff, but actually, because I can't see it, it's even more powerful because I cannot interfere. Thank you, Vincent. So anyone else, insights and questions? What do you know now that you didn't know when we started?
So may I ask a question, Claire?
Yes, yeah.
So if the person in front of you doesn't know how to handle the technique, so what do you do? So you say you stand up, you ask the person to stand up, but if it doesn't work either, so what do you do next?
Move on. Move on, don't apologize. Vincent loves this. Please, Vincent, do not use it with every single person you coach forevermore, because they won't all love it as much as you do. So offering is enough, and you'll be able to know straight away, because if he'd looked at me really early on in that and gone, what? I'd have just gone, would you rather talk? And he'd have gone, yes. And then we'd have moved to a different way of working. So we have to lightly offer, and then we lightly drop if it doesn't work, and we move on.
Okay. And can we move on with some other visuals? Because I'm using some drawing as well, some from time to time, some pictures. So can we move on with something else without abusing time of the coachee?
Ask them.
Mm-hmm.
The thing we all need to do more of in coaching is to ask people. So do you want to move on and draw that? Do you want to move on and move? What's the most useful thing we can do now? So checking in and asking people is absolutely important. But never be attached, or it becomes a power tool that you're doing to them. And as we know, coaching doesn't work when we do it to somebody. It works when it is a conversation with them where they get new insights and feel heard. There's a lot more about this in the book, and lots of other examples. I've just popped a link to the book in the chat, because we have 90 minutes, and I'm trying to work on the basis that we will do the least we need to do here to give you some new insights that you can use in your coaching. Anyone else, insights or questions? Okay, so Wendy.
I just wanted to share that it's amazing to have different techniques, and it opens up, all the ways that we could do something. So it's not just a conversation, but everything is an opportunity. So
absolutely
right. And the question I had relates to the state. Well, you said earlier that the person, one of the things about coaching is the person feeling that they're being heard. And because it's such a clean and, it's beautiful. You touch like 2 drops of the ocean, right? How does that relate to someone who wants to be heard by giving you all the stuff?
We've all worked with them, haven't we, Wendy? So we need to interrupt them, and we need to get not overwhelmed, and we need to get them to do the work. So interestingly, I've just listened with somebody I'm mentoring an hour ago, just before this call, to a 1-hour session, and the person spent 15 minutes downloading at the beginning. And the question we were asking ourselves was, is he getting, what's the download for? So sometimes the download is because they think you need to know it. You don't. Sometimes, which was the case in this recording, the download is because he needed to let it out. That's good. And sometimes the download is for them to be able to make sense of it. So the skill is get them to do the work. Now, the danger with download is that coaching is future focused and optimistic, and downloading goes backwards. Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you more of the story. And actually, you need to know more of the story because that will give you some insight about that bit of the story. And suddenly, they're not hardly even in the coaching space. They have gone into the past and you have run after them. Get them to do the work. So one way of dealing with that is to say to them, as you hear yourself say those things, what do you notice? Because what that does is it moves us away from going into the past to getting them to turn around into the present and look. Because looking is an absolute fundamental to great coaching. You looking and you facilitating them to look. More than you facilitating them to talk. Because awareness comes from seeing something differently, either physically, which Vincent did, or in our mind. So there's a quote I use in the book which says this. It's from it's about 100 years old, and this gentleman in Belgium, Fabienne, called Maurice Maeterlinck, he said, "It is far more important that our lives be perceived, seen, than that they be transformed. For once they have been perceived or seen, they will transform themselves of their own accord." So Vincent just had a moment of transformation. We saw it in his face, and you had it, Vincent, because you looked at something differently, and then the transformation came because you saw it. Here's another example. Who uses sticky notes? Anybody? Yeah? Who's a trainer who uses sticky notes on the wall? Anybody use sticky notes on the wall? Yeah? You use sticky notes on the wall and you get cross because when you peel off your sticky note and you stick it on the wall, it goes bendy. Doesn't it? Isn't that annoying? Here is my transformational moment. And please don't let this be the most deep thing you learn in this session. If you peel a sticky note off from side to side like that, when you stick it, it goes flat. You saw that. And now you understand that differently. And that's what we're trying to do in coaching. Not stop having bendy sticky notes, but have people have an insight that leads to transformation. So what we see is the thing that is most likely to move to the insight, and it's most likely to move to the insight that will not undo. And Wendy is going to have flat Post-it notes forever now. So that is a good thing. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to go into small groups of 2. And in your small group, I would like to invite each of you for 5 minutes to do what I did with Vincent. So to think of a situation where you need to pay some attention, To use stuff or drawing, Fabienne is also fine. To map it out in front of you and to look. And your partner will be watching you think. And if you see an insight, say, did you just have an insight? Because they will probably demonstrate on their face that they have one before they know they've had it. So you need to check in with them. So this is just a light trying out thing. So 5 minutes and then swap over, the other person do it, 5 minutes. And then spend 5 minutes talking about what you've learned, and we'll come back at 1:45. Is everybody clear on the task? Yeah, fabulous. So 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes the other, 5 minutes conversation. There is somebody in the room, I don't know who you are, who is not going to like this at all. But like Vincent, who loves it and is not going to use it with every client forevermore, just because this isn't going to work for you doesn't mean it won't work for some of the people that you coach. So try it out, experiment. It will be learning, and just give it a go. So everybody clear? Off you go. 5 minutes each way, and then 5 minutes discussion, and then we'll come back and see what we know and what we need to be thinking about next. Off you go.
Was I not assigned a room?
Oh, because you're the host. You can do it with me. Just press pause on the recording.
Okay. Thanks for the reminder.
Is there a name for this method? Well, on one level, the name is common sense.
Thank you.
On another level, it's Lily's just laughing. Using objects to represent situations comes from the work of constellations, which comes from family systems therapy. So it's a very, very, very simplified version of coaching constellations. And there's a book by John Whittington about coaching constellations, but it truly is a really simple thing. But what I want to say is you need in the coaching room or the coaching space, you need to trust your intuition and do whatever is right. So here is one that here's an example that I made up in the room. The thinker said, I need to think about how to put down all the stuff I'm carrying. It's very heavy. So I said, can you pick up the heaviest thing you can find? Oh, I'm not. So they picked up the heaviest thing they could find. So you're now having a conversation with them and they are holding a very heavy thing. And they will have much more insight than if they talk about holding a very heavy thing. So I just say, are you okay to pick up the heaviest thing you can see? And then we do the work. And they want to put the thing down because it's heavy. So their body is also doing some work. So I guess you could also say it came from somatic coaching, I guess. But actually, all I want to say is be simple and yeah, go with your intuition and do what's right in the moment and really listen to their language, because they will tell you what to do. So that person who said, I'm carrying something that's very heavy, they told me what to do. And that was to say, find something heavy and hold it. And then let's work out what we need to do. So somebody else will say, my dilemma is I don't know whether to stay in the organization or to leave. You can see I have a door. If I was coaching somebody who had that background, I would say to them, I wonder what it will feel like when you walk out. So get them to do the thing they're talking about and then ask them how it feels is a great way. But it truly is simple. And I don't want to give you any more layers on it, because if I give you more layers on it, you will have to work out in the moment how to use it. And the gift of being simple is that you know in the moment what to do, because the thinker has told you with their body or their words. Any other questions? That was a great question, Jane. So my question to you lovely people of Malaysia, Belgium, and other parts of the world, what is one thing that you are taking away that you're going to apply in your coaching? So let's hear from everybody, one thing you're taking away. And my request to you is, please don't apply every single thing you have learnt with the person that you are coaching next, because it will be too much for them. So what's one thing that you're taking away and that you're going to apply? Joanne.
Okay, Claire, I think to me is what resonates with me is talk lesser, listen more, number one. And I really like the simple and
Great.
vision, because many a times I follow the notes, I want to try to do everything in the notes, and it is confusing me, confusing everybody, and it's out of topic. So this is the two things that I will
Fantastic.
want to implement. Thank you,
Great.
Claire. Thank you.
And do have a look at the book, Simplifying Coaching, if that's useful to you, because it's just got a whole lot more about this simple stuff. And it will make you do less. And I always think that's a good thing. Vincent, we know you're taking away your insight. What else are you taking away?
Yeah, thanks, Claire. I like the one just now you mentioned, listen to what they talk and get them to do the things they talk about.
Yeah. If the thinker is doing more thinking than the coach, it's not coaching. Wendy.
C.
Thank you. Jane.
Okay, so I like the one that says that the best questions come from them, not us coaches. So yeah, I've been struggling with a lot of questions. It's like, yeah, what an insight, you know. I really have to encourage questions from them.
Yeah. The best question, I've got a picture of that, but I can't find it. The best questions come from the thinker always. And if you listen to a master coach coaching, you'll hear that the bucket of words that they use is almost entirely from the thinker's vocabulary and not from anywhere else. Maytuck, what about you?
For me, is get out of my head and stay with the person.
Yeah, stay with them, keep in sync.
Yeah.
And particularly keep in sync when they leap, because when they leap, you need to move forward with them, because otherwise there's a time delay between what you're doing and where they were. You're where they were and they're where they are now.
Thank
Great.
you.
Mel.
What's the least I need to do for you to have insight?
Great, thank you. And if you begin to move towards only asking as many words in a question as you need to say until they pick it up, that will be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So as you ask you said you say a lot of words. As you say your words, watch their eyes, and the minute they go, stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
and that will help. Otherwise, your first 3 words gave them an insight, but because you didn't stop, they are waiting for you to stop talking. And by the time you keep talking for hours and hours and hours and hours, they're now not even thinking about their insight, which they've now forgotten. And they are simply listening for you to get to the end of this sentence, which isn't a sentence, because actually it's like a whole book. You get the point. And actually, when I watch recordings of coaches coaching, people who talk too much often have a really excellent beginning to the to what they said. So what they just need to do is stop.
Yeah.
It's not that the first 3 words weren't amazing. They were, but they become less amazing the more we speak. Thank you, Mel, for your honesty.
Thank you.
Shantamala.
What I liked was a metaphor that you quoted about the egg. You know, where it says if it's broken from the outside by others, then it doesn't survive. But if it's broken from within, then life starts. I think that was, that really hit a call with me.
Great. Thank you. Joyce. Bye, Joe.
It's a partnership and the constant checking in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't ask for more information.
Yes. And checking in is not about, am I doing any good here? Checking in is about their journey of insight. So I've said to you about 4 times in this call, either what are your insights or what do you know now that you didn't know when we started? And I started asking you that about 20% of the way into our time. And at that point, if you'd said we haven't had any, I'd have been perfectly okay with that, because I wasn't anxious. If you wait to check in until the end, you are unlikely to check in, because you will make it about your performance, and it is not about your performance, it's about their insight. Thank you, Joyce. Fabienne.
I like the power of uncomfortable silence.
Yeah. And we need to watch and get them to break the silence, because they'll tell you when they want you to speak. Thank you, Fabienne. Rahaizan.
So many things, Claire, but I just have one image that's going to help me to remember everything that I've learned today. One image and one word. The image is a question mark, and the word is the thinker. So I think I've just I've just baked a cake, actually, and
great.
and you know that cake says that, you know, you start to stop thinking about the client as the client or the coachee who needs you. You know, when you think of them as the thinker, you liberate yourself. You can be, well, I can be invisible.
You can be only as visible as you need to be.
Yeah, better.
Fabulous. Because it's the space to process that you are providing, and you are there to be the catalyst. Thank you, Viviana.
I guess the method is like help a child to learn faster. It's like when a child learn faster, is you show them that is this like you show them, then they learn faster.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you. And they only need as much as they need in the bits they need. Chun.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. You read my mind. I actually have to go, so I thought I just want to speak next. You know, one of my favorite things to say in my coaching session is tell me more about it. And you mentioned that when you ask that question, they're not moving forward. They're only telling you what they've already experienced and they know. And that was like a huge, insight for me. Yeah.
Chung, they also think they now need to tell you, so keep me out of the question.
Okay.
So tell me more is much weaker as a question than say more, because sometimes they do need to say more, so they do get the insight. but you're inviting them to say more so they hear it. Tell me more makes it sound as though you need it and you don't.
Oh, I see.
So your
Okay.
intention is good, but slightly change the question.
All
Great,
right.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire. Yeah. I need to
Lorche,
read.
in a word, Lorche,
Yeah,
what's your insight?
For me, even though you say don't do it with every client, okay, my personal experience just now of drawing and getting the client to do things rather than just talk about it, that to me is very powerful.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Su Klang.
Yeah, be side by side with the client and look at things together.
Together, fantastic. Maimon.
It was revealing because we've always been taught it's about the client's journey. But I realized today that I'm so hung up on the outcome. And when I just release it and just trust, really, really trust the process. I didn't know what's going to come out just now when we were having that breakout. And I just trust what I saw. And I was like, woo, she got it. She gets that.
And mastery is trusting the process more than we trust ourselves. Lynn, in one word. And then Asma, and then I'll hand back to Kiran.
Okay, I'll change my habit from what happened to where are we now.
Great. Asma.
Traveling together.
Fantastic. Kiran, you have the last word.
You know, I loved the part where you took the two glasses and you put the buttons into the other glass. That really sunk in so hard that we're always asking them to download.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be doing that.
No. So check out our YouTube channel, which is 3D Coaching, where there are videos of various other small visual things that will also help you be really clear. Happy to connect on LinkedIn if that's useful. And if the book is useful, you can get it on Kindle or Book Depository in Malaysia. And that's Simplifying Coaching. Thank you all for everything you've brought today. What a great time we've had. Enjoy your evening, except for Fabienne and me, and we'll have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Claire.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much.
And once
for the
again,
learning.
thanks to all our participants as well. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
We
everyone.
don't have a closing. I didn't realize when she asked me to do it was for me to do closing, not to share. So that's fine. It was so good. Eh?
Yeah.
Very visually powerful.
Well, thank you, Mel, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Mel, you are muted, Mel. Mel, do you know of anyone that you think we could invite for these ACSM sessions for the future? Are you aware of anybody maybe in the States or anywhere else, in the US or from New York or anywhere else?
Let me give it a think. Coaches, huh? Yes, I do know people.
We're looking for supervisors and mentors.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I know one in particular who would be wonderful. But we can chat about that. We can give talk on the phone or something.
Yeah. Can I give you my number?
Sure. I thought you were already in the group.
Which group?
ACSM group.
Yeah, ACSM members group. I think you're there, Kiran.
But in case you're not sure,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
that's my number.
Yes. Okay. I just updated my phone and it's all over the place.
Okay, save this number. If you can let me know, we are looking for somebody for October,
Okay.
November, December.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Who is this person you have in mind?
She's one of my teachers, a supervisor, a mentor, and she's well, she teaches all over the world, actually. So she might be very good. But
What's the name?
I can talk to her. Sarta.
Sure. But what's the name?
Sarta.
How do you spell that? Sorry.
S-A-R-I-T-A.
S?
S-A-R-I-T-A.
S-A-R.
It sounds like Sarita, but it's Sarta.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you will let me know?
What's your number? Yes. What's your number?
I just gave it to you on the chat.
Oh, in the chat. Okay.
012-381-3145.
Okay. 012. I was trying to save the chat.
We have the recording. We will be putting up the recording.
No, but he's talking about the chat. You can. There is the 3 dots at the bottom.
Oh, that's where you do it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
yeah. You press that and you will save the chat.
Oh, I knew it was easy. Okay. All right. 381 3145.
Right.
Okay.
You
All
can
right.
just drop me a line, let me know. I appreciate it.
Okay. All
And
right.
let me know whether they want to go end of October or November or December.
Oh, okay.
The timing is flexible. So if they can only do it in the morning, because it's US time, then we can do it in the morning at 9 o'clock or something like that.
All right. I don't know where she is in the world right now. So that's gonna, she may be in India, she could be in Singapore for all I know. So I'll find out.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Mal.
ma'am. Good to see you.
Bye. Okay.
Okay. Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.